Spiritual alchemy, the inner art of transformation. Spiritual alchemy, often seen as the inner process of transforming one's soul or consciousness, is typically rooted in ancient Hermetic traditions. Many modern scholars and practitioners point to the legendary figure Hermes Trismegistus as a foundational influence. His writings, known collectively as the Hermetic corpus, blend philosophy, mysticism, and early alchemical ideas, setting the stage for later interpretations of alchemy as not just a physical process but a spiritual one. It's worth noting that while Hermes Trismegistus is frequently cited as a key originator in the context of spiritual alchemy, the tradition evolved over centuries with contributions from various figures, including Paracelsus, who further integrated mystical insights into alchemical practices. Thus, spiritual alchemy can be seen as a rich tapestry of ideas rather than the product of a single founder. Spiritual alchemy is an ancient and multifaceted tradition that extends far beyond the mere transformation of base metals into gold. It is the metaphorical and experiential process of inner transformation, a journey that seeks to refine the soul, elevate consciousness, and achieve a state of wholeness. This essay delves into the origins, historical evolution, symbolic language, practices, and enduring impact of spiritual alchemy, highlighting how its teachings have influenced mystical traditions and remain relevant in modern spiritual discourse. Alchemy, as it is traditionally understood, was a proto-scientific practice that sought to transform ordinary substances into noble ones. However, as early practitioners explored the interplay between the material and the immaterial, alchemy evolved into a metaphor for personal transformation. Spiritual alchemy interprets the alchemist's laboratory as the inner landscape of the human soul, where the quest is to transmute the leaden qualities of the ego into the golden light of spiritual awareness. At its core, spiritual alchemy is a discipline that examines the interplay between body, mind, and spirit. It challenges individuals to look within and engage in a transformative process that fosters self-awareness, healing, and growth. This inner journey involves the integration of shadow aspects, the harmonization of opposites, and the awakening of latent potentialities. The roots of spiritual alchemy can be traced back to the ancient traditions of Hermeticism. Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure whose teachings are compiled in the Hermetic corpus, is often regarded as one of the seminal influences on both physical and spiritual alchemy. His writings emphasize that the universe is a living, interconnected whole, and that the same divine spark that animates the cosmos is present within every human being. The phrase "as above, so below" encapsulates the Hermetic view that microcosm and macrocosm are reflections of one another. Hermetic teachings provided early alchemists with a framework for understanding the nature of reality. They posited that the transformation of matter paralleled the inner transformation of the self. This dual pursuit of external and internal perfection became a central tenet of alchemical thought, setting the stage for centuries of symbolic interpretation and mystical practice. During the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, alchemy flourished as a discipline that bridged natural philosophy, medicine, and spirituality. In this era, figures such as Paracelsus advanced the notion that the physical and spiritual realms were deeply interconnected. Paracelsus, a Swiss physician and alchemist, challenged the traditional medical paradigms of his time by emphasizing empirical observation and the use of chemical remedies. Yet, his work also carried a mystical dimension, suggesting that the body was a microcosm of the universe and that disease could be understood as a disruption of the natural balance between the physical and spiritual aspects of life. Renaissance alchemists further developed the symbolic language of alchemy, employing a rich array of images, such as the Ouroboros, a serpent eating its own tail, the philosopher's stone, and the alchemical egg, to represent stages of inner transformation. These symbols were not merely ornamental. They served as guides for the initiate's journey, outlining a path from ignorance and fragmentation to enlightenment and unity. By the 19th and 20th centuries, the literal pursuit of material transformation began to wane, and alchemical symbolism found new life in the realm of psychology and spirituality. Influential thinkers like Carl Jung recognized alchemy as a metaphor for the individuation process, the psychological journey toward achieving wholeness. Jung's analysis of alchemical texts revealed that the symbolic imagery used by ancient alchemists resonated with the inner processes of transformation and self-integration. He argued that the transformation of lead into gold represented the transmutation of the raw, unconscious aspects of the psyche into a more refined, enlightened state. Jung's work not only validated the inner dimensions of alchemy, but also contributed to a broader acceptance of spiritual alchemy as a framework for understanding personal development and psychological growth. Today, many modern practitioners and scholars continue to explore alchemical symbolism as a powerful metaphor for healing and transformation. Central to alchemical lore is the concept of the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance said to possess the power to transmute base metals into gold and grant eternal life. In spiritual alchemy, the Philosopher's Stone is not a literal object, but a symbol of the perfected self. It represents the culmination of the alchemist's inner work, a state in which the fragmented elements of the psyche are integrated, resulting in spiritual wholeness and enlightenment. This ultimate goal is achieved through a series of stages, each symbolizing a necessary transformation. The process is often depicted as a journey through darkness and light, involving trials and revelations that gradually lead the seeker toward a higher state of consciousness. Alchemical texts traditionally describe a multi-stage process of transformation, often divided into four major phases. Negrito, blackening. This initial phase is marked by dissolution and decay. It represents the confrontation with the shadow self, the breaking down of old patterns, and the acknowledgement of personal imperfections. In spiritual alchemy, Negrito is the necessary descent into darkness where one must face the repressed and neglected aspects of the personality. Albedo, whitening. Following the darkness of Negrito, albedo signifies purification and the emergence of clarity. It is a time of cleansing and renewal, where the seeker begins to integrate the lessons learned during the dark phase and prepare for further transformation. Citrinitas, yellowing. Often seen as an intermediary phase, Citrinitas symbolizes the awakening of consciousness and the gradual realization of one's inner light. It represents a stage of spiritual illumination where insights and intuition start to coalesce. Rubedo, reddening. The final phase, rubedo, symbolizes the achievement of wholeness and the union of opposites. In this state, the individual has successfully integrated the disparate elements of the psyche, culminating in the realization of the Philosopher's Stone, the perfected, enlightened self. These stages, while described in material terms, serve as powerful metaphors for the psychological and spiritual journey toward self-realization. Spiritual alchemy is replete with symbolic imagery that has resonated across cultures and epochs. Some of the most significant symbols include the Ouroboros, representing cyclicality, eternity, and the unity of all things. The Ouroboros is a snake or dragon consuming its own tail. It symbolizes the endless cycle of death and rebirth, a central motif in spiritual transformation. The alchemical egg, mundane egg, often depicted as a source of cosmic creation, the alchemical egg signifies the potential for new life and the emergence of higher consciousness from the primordial chaos. The phoenix, as a creature that rises from its own ashes, the phoenix embodies the theme of regeneration and the ability to transcend one's past limitations. It is a potent image of rebirth and renewal. These symbols, while abstract, offer a language through which the ineffable aspects of the inner journey can be communicated. They serve as guides, reminders, and sources of inspiration for those undertaking the path of spiritual transformation. Meditation is one of the cornerstones of spiritual alchemy. Through practices that calm the mind and focus attention inward, individuals can begin to explore the depths of their inner landscape. Meditation facilitates the quieting of the constant chatter of the mind, allowing the seeker to access deeper layers of consciousness. In the context of alchemy, meditation is the means by which one enters into the laboratory of the self, a sacred space where transformation can occur. Contemplative practices, often involving reflective study of alchemical texts and symbols, further support this inner work. By meditating on images such as the Ouroboros or the alchemical egg, practitioners can internalize their meanings and allow these symbols to guide their process of self-discovery. Many traditions of spiritual alchemy incorporate ritualistic practices designed to evoke and harness transformative energies. These rituals may involve the use of incense, candles, sacred geometry, and the recitation of mantras or prayers. The act of ritual itself becomes a symbolic reenactment of the alchemical process, marking the transition from one stage of transformation to another. For instance, a ritual might be structured to mimic the stages of Negrito, Albedo, Citrinitas, and Rubedo, with each segment of the ceremony corresponding to a phase of inner purification and rebirth. These symbolic acts not only serve to focus the mind and spirit, but also provide a tangible framework within which the abstract process of inner alchemy can unfold. A crucial aspect of the spiritual alchemical journey is the integration of one's shadow, the repressed, hidden, or denied aspects of the self, with the conscious, lighted self. This integration is essential for achieving wholeness. The process requires confronting and accepting the parts of oneself that are often considered undesirable or shameful. In doing so, the individual can transform these dark elements into sources of strength and wisdom. Techniques such as journaling, dream analysis, and active imagination, a method popularized by Jung, are common practices for engaging with the shadow. These methods help practitioners uncover unconscious patterns and bring them into conscious awareness, setting the stage for healing and transformation. Artistic expression is another powerful tool in spiritual alchemy. Whether through painting, music, writing, or dance, creative acts allow the inner experiences of transformation to be externalized and shared. Many alchemists believe that art could serve as a mirror for the soul, revealing the hidden structures of the psyche and facilitating the process of inner integration. For instance, the creation of a mandala, a geometric design representing the cosmos, can be seen as a meditative act that mirrors the inner journey toward balance and unity. The repetitive patterns and symmetrical forms of a mandala echo the cyclic nature of the alchemical process, providing a visual representation of the path toward enlightenment. At its heart, spiritual alchemy is concerned with the quest for wholeness. It posits that human beings are inherently divided, subject to inner conflicts, repressed desires, and fragmented identities. The alchemical journey is one of integration, the unification of opposites within the self. This includes reconciling the conscious and unconscious, the rational and the intuitive, and the masculine and feminine aspects of personality. This quest for wholeness is not merely an abstract ideal, but a practical imperative for psychological well-being. Many of the techniques developed by alchemists for integrating disparate parts of the self are echoed in modern psychotherapeutic practices. In this way, spiritual alchemy has contributed to a deeper understanding of the human psyche and the process of personal transformation. Carl Jung's extensive study of alchemical symbolism provided a bridge between ancient esoteric traditions and modern psychology. Jung recognized that the language of alchemy, its rich imagery and multi-layered symbolism, expressed universal truths about the human experience. He argued that the process of transforming lead into gold was a metaphor for the individuation process, wherein the individual moves from a state of fragmentation to one of integrated wholeness. Jung's work emphasized that alchemy is not merely about external achievements, but about the internal transformation that leads to self-realization. His interpretations of alchemical texts have influenced a wide range of modern practices, from psychotherapy to contemporary spiritual movements, reaffirming the idea that true transformation begins within. Spiritual alchemy is replete with paradoxes. The very essence of the alchemical process is the union of opposites, the merging of light and dark, creation and destruction, expansion and contraction. This duality is not seen as a conflict to be resolved but as a dynamic interplay that gives rise to growth and evolution. The paradoxical nature of spiritual alchemy teaches that apparent contradictions can coexist, and that true understanding often lies in embracing complexity rather than seeking simplistic answers. This perspective encourages practitioners to remain open to the mystery of existence and to recognize that transformation is an ongoing, dynamic process rather than a fixed endpoint. Over the centuries, spiritual alchemy has significantly influenced various esoteric traditions, including Kabbalah, Sufism, and Eastern philosophies such as Taoism and Buddhism. These traditions, though diverse in their teachings, share a common emphasis on inner transformation and the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment. In the West, the Renaissance and later periods saw a revival of alchemical thought in connection with the occult and mystical traditions. Secret societies and esoteric orders, such as the Rosicrucians, and the Freemasons incorporated alchemical symbolism into their rituals and teachings, viewing it as a powerful allegory for the spiritual journey. This cross-pollination of ideas helped to sustain the legacy of spiritual alchemy well into the modern era. In recent decades, spiritual alchemy has experienced a resurgence within the New Age movement. Modern spiritual seekers are drawn to alchemical symbolism for its rich metaphorical insights into the human condition and its emphasis on personal empowerment and transformation. Contemporary authors and teachers have reinterpreted alchemical texts for a modern audience, framing them as practical guides for inner work in a world that often seems fragmented and disenchanted. Today, spiritual alchemy is frequently integrated into holistic healing practices, mindfulness meditation, and creative expression. Workshops, retreats, and online communities dedicated to alchemical self-transformation provide tools and techniques for individuals to navigate the complexities of modern life while seeking deeper spiritual fulfillment. One of the enduring appeals of spiritual alchemy is its ability to bridge the gap between science and spirituality. While the physical alchemical experiments of old paved the way for modern chemistry and pharmacology, the symbolic language of alchemy continues to resonate with those seeking a synthesis of empirical knowledge and mystical insight. This intersection is perhaps best exemplified by the work of figures like Paracelsus, who combined medical innovation with esoteric wisdom. In contemporary times, this convergence is reflected in fields such as transpersonal psychology, where researchers explore the connections between altered states of consciousness, meditation, and neurobiology. The transformative journey described by spiritual alchemy finds echoes in modern scientific studies that reveal the profound impact of meditation and mindfulness on brain function and emotional well-being. For many who embark on the path of spiritual alchemy, the journey begins with a deep, often unspoken, longing for transformation. This inner call may arise from personal crisis, existential questioning, or a simple yearning for deeper meaning in life. The process of alchemical transformation is not about escaping the challenges of existence, but about confronting them head-on and using them as catalysts for growth. The call to transformation is often experienced as an inner compulsion to break free from old patterns and to embrace a new way of being. It is the recognition that the current state of fragmentation or inner turmoil is unsustainable, and that a radical change is necessary to unlock one's full potential. A significant aspect of the alchemical journey is the confrontation with one's shadow, the dark night of the soul. This period of profound inner struggle, where old beliefs and attachments are stripped away, is essential for the emergence of a more authentic self. While this phase can be intensely challenging and even painful, it is also profoundly transformative. During the dark night of the soul, individuals may feel lost, overwhelmed, or disconnected from their sense of identity. However, this disintegration is a necessary precursor to the reconstruction of the self. In the alchemical tradition, the process of nigredo, symbolizing dissolution and decay, prepares the way for renewal and rebirth. Through the crucible of inner suffering, the individual gains access to deeper layers of wisdom and strength, ultimately emerging with a more integrated, resilient identity. The ultimate goal of spiritual alchemy is the realization of a unified, authentic self, a state in which the individual's inner light shines forth in harmony with the external world. This process of integration involves healing old wounds, reconciling internal conflicts, and embracing both the light and dark aspects of one's being. As the transformative journey progresses, the seeker begins to experience moments of profound insight and clarity. The symbols and rituals of alchemy serve as reminders